All right, guys. So I'll try to run through TradingView and how you can open up an account. There is also a link below for a little discount of around $15 for your first membership. But the good thing with TradingView is that you have a free option, zero forever, no credit card needed, nothing. It's an amazing platform. I use it for absolutely everything. I'm going to show you guys, first of all, how to open up an account, maybe some of the packages that you can buy if you're looking for more in depth. And then I will show you how to use TradingView effectively to help you do everything that you need to do for your trading. Let's start with opening up an account. Here you are. You can sign up for zero. Okay, no credit card. You just sign up. Of course, you're not going to get all the functionality, but you're going to get a lot of value there, and you'll be able to chart and analyze opportunities the way that I do. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit more premium, I don't think you're going to need more than this $12.95 a month, because you're going to get two charts in one tab. I'll explain that a little bit later, or as you can see here on this video, it gets explained. You can add up to 5 indicators. 5 indicators will be enough for you to have enough tools on your chart to analyze. And you get 10K, 10,000 historical bars, so you can do some back testing. And then finally here, you can get price alerts up to 20. I obviously go for premium here to be able to get a lot more alerts and set them up. But if you're just starting out, you're not going to need more than this. And in fact, I would say you can just go for free and give it a go. And then as you develop in your trading career, you can then start using Essential, Plus, and then Premium, depending on what data you need. The good thing here is you're going to get custom ranges, you're going to get time frames, volume, no ads, very important here so that you don't waste your time on clicking out of ads, and also plenty of indicators, up to 5 on one chart. But if you have multiple charts, you can kind of flick through them anyway, and that kind of solves the problem. That's it. Now, to sign up, it's fairly easy. I mean, you're going to just have to do the usual process of signing up with any platform. You can, this is because we have our trading community, you can sign up with Apple, you can sign up with X, you can sign up with Google, you can sign up with other ones, you can sign up with your email, the usual process. For that process, sign up. And if you're looking to subscribe to one of the memberships, you can use the link below. You get a little discount and it can be a month free, essentially. Okay, that's it. Now, let's move on to TradingView itself and how you guys can use it for your day-to-day trading. Let's start with just the chart itself, okay? I have premium. Of course, there might be some extra features there, but essentially you're getting the same product. The initial chart starts like this. I also will have some volume at the bottom. And the reason why I like TradingView, its drawing tools are very, very simple. You have multiple ways to draw certain things. You have Fibonacci's, which are done for you already, and other cyclical analysis. You have patterns here, for example, triangle patterns. You have head and shoulder patterns, and so on, that you can draw. You can make annotations. Everything that you need to analyze these charts and annotate on the charts is there for you, okay? Now, in addition to this, you have different time frames that you can use. And this is where it gets interesting, because you can choose which time frames you want. Now, if you're going for the more premium memberships, you get these by second or by ticker options, and you can really go into the details of the assets that you're trading. But for most traders, especially for me as a swing trader, you're not going to need anything above these hourly or minute charts, like the 5-minute or the 15-minute. You're not really going to need anything above that. And you can then obviously favorite these and add them into your top bar here. Then you have the type of chart. So here we have a candlestick chart, but you can actually flick through any type of chart you want. One of the other charts that I like to use occasionally are bar charts here. Maybe if you want less noise, less body on the candles. I know a lot of traders that use this. There are some other traders that use Heikin-Ashi here. It just creates a different view. Just be careful here with understanding why this is the way it is and why the candle forms the way it does form. You need to understand the tools that you're using. But the idea here is you can create different types of charts based on the way the data is presented. The simplest one is a line chart. I like to use candlesticks, works pretty well for me. And yeah, so there's no reason for me to dabble into any other types of charts here. This works pretty fine. I understand it in depth and so on. Right here, you can add your indicators. I have a bunch of indicators which I have saved, scripts I've created myself, but essentially you can go to indicators. On top of that, you also have some editor picks, right? So these are picks by editors, TradingView themselves, where they value some of the new indicators that have been developed by other authors, and they put them on the top of this. There's also obviously top indicators here, smart money concepts, all sorts of other stuff that you can play around with if you want to, that I don't really use. There's also trending indicators. You have indicators that are becoming quite popular in the community. For example, we can click on this one and we can have a look at what this indicator gives us. It gives us a swing profile of Bitcoin in this situation. Moving on from that, you have alerts here. So if you want, you can create an alert really quickly. You can put a certain price. Another way to create alerts is to right click on a certain area and then add alert. Very, very simple, okay? Right click and add alert. A very good tool for beginners is the replay mode, and this is essential. And you're going to get that in, I think in all the memberships, including the free one. But if it's not included in the free one, it's a very, very useful tool where you can go replay and you can select first available day. You can select random bar. I always like to do random bar because it gives you that randomized testing that you need. You go to random bar, opens up here, for example. You then replay, you then play this out, and it gives you an opportunity to trade. You can obviously speed this up a little bit if you want. You can go 3x on this, and then as the price forms, you can pause and you can enter into trades, buy or sell, to be able to back test your strategy manually. Okay, this is a manual way of doing it. Now, one of the other tools, if you're more advanced and you're trying to get to the other stage, is you can develop your own strategy. Okay, so if you go on strategy here, you can develop your own strategy. Like I have trend hunters right here. I've tested a few other ones that are random, but the trend hunter strategy is one that I've developed myself. You also have these other ones here, which are like MACD strategies, super trend strategies. If you like super trend, at one point I was testing super trends. There's Bollinger Band strategies that you can use, and you can play around with how the strategies work, and you can then do something like this, right? So you get the metrics and you can see your probability of winning trades, list of trades. You can then play around with settings and see if you get some nice setups here, okay? So you can play around with, say, with this one, it can go to like, let's say 10, move it to 10. You can move it to 10 and then 1, for example. And then you just see how many setups it gives you. And there you go. And then it'll give you, for example, it'll give you the profit that you would have generated during this time period here. Okay, so you can play around with strategies as well. I always recommend that you develop your own strategy, because if you're going to grab these tools, they're quite limited, but they're nice to play around and experiment with. Yeah, that's basically what I would recommend. In terms of charts, you can actually set up different charts. For the free one, I'm not sure if you can do 2. I think for the free, you can only do 1. And then for the essential, you can start doing 2, and you can split it whichever way you want. You can split it this way, for example. You can split it another way, which is this way. I quite like this process because you have, for example, if you want to do multiple time frames, you can do the monthly here, for example, on the right. Sorry, you can do the weekly here, and you can do the monthly on the right, and then you can compare where the situation is on the monthly, and you can compare where the situation is on the weekly here, and that will give you a nice opportunity to be able to analyze multiple time frames at the same time. Now, beyond that, if you go to 3 or 4, it becomes kind of noisy. So I tend to not use it. But a lot of traders like doing something like this, right? Where they have multiple charts and they can analyze multiple assets. So if you're looking to analyze the S&P, NASDAQ, the Russell, and the Dow Jones, you can add them all here in separate charts, okay? And that will give you an opportunity to analyze multiple assets at the same time. I like to use single and just the two. I don't really want to complicate my life too much, and I like to keep things simple, as you guys know from the community. You can also save templates for your charts. So if you have different templates that you want to analyze, I have, for example, Trend Hunters Basic, Trend Hunters Pro. I have the NDQ code that I run, which I basically have the indicators I use there for that code, the code itself, the strategy, tester, and so on. So yeah, you can create templates and use them as and when you wish to use them. Okay. In addition to that, now we move into taking screenshots. You can set up things differently here if you want. You have settings in terms of if you want a black background to your chart, if you want a gray background, you can play around with this. I'm not going to go into too much detail. And then you can obviously download images and copy images here to be able to copy and paste them. You can also tweet these images and be able to engage with other traders on social media platforms. I usually just use copy image and then I'll paste it into Discord and I'll share it with you guys. I don't really do any of this other stuff from TradingView. Okay. On the right panel and the sidebars, you have watch lists. Okay. I have my own method of setting up these watch lists. I just really work out of one list, and then I have various watch lists I run and alerts. So yeah, it just depends on how you guys want to structure it and organize your work. Then you have obviously alerts here. You have a log, you have alerts that you have already set up and they're running. And then you can get notified at certain levels when those levels get crossed. Okay. I usually just put price because then the price will make me see the chart and then I can decide on what I want to view. Down here, you can look at data if you want. Now, this is where we get to the interesting part, and I think this is crucial for you guys if you're looking to then take a step forward. If you're part of the community and you're paying for the Novice Hunters, the Insights group, which is $29 a month, you'll probably see me once a Sunday doing my screening and showing you guys here on TradingView. With the screeners, you can set them up whichever way you want. Okay, there is no limitation in terms of what you can do with your screeners. I just focus on two setups, which are trend reversals and continuations, and I have my method and my screeners here, which I keep private and only for paid members and higher members in the community to be able to see. But I run those weekly calls off the screeners that I've built in TradingView. Now, there are other tools that you can use, but this is just enough if you're organizing your work. Okay. But this is where I start my day most of the time. I go into the screeners and then click on the chart or the asset that I want to analyze, and then I analyze it based on my tools and my charting. If, for example, BCH looks like it wants to move higher, so then I add alerts and manage it that way. In addition to this, you also have something called Pine Editor. Pine Editor is where you can create scripts for indicators and strategies, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's more advanced and technical stuff that you can do. The calendar is very useful for all traders because you can start seeing ahead when you have economic data being dropped. For example, non-farm payrolls are being dropped next week, and then you have some other data here. You then also have earnings. And you can flick through the earnings here. For example, IMSR is one of the companies I've been monitoring for a while. I quite like it and also invested in it. So yeah, you can monitor that and you can look at the earnings on the day when they drop as well. Now, other tools are financials. Okay. So if you're doing stock trading, you want to know what this company is doing in terms of its financials, earnings, for example. I usually just click from down here, but you can also go from up this level here, the three dots, and you can go into metrics, you can go into financials, etc. I usually just scroll down. If there's a dividend, I look at the dividend. If I want to look at financials, I click more financials. If I want to look at seasonality, I look at seasonality down here, and I look at technicals, for example. Interesting tool for this is you'll be able to see where the indicators are all leaning based on the time frames. If you're using these time frames, you'll be able to see which time frames are switching from long to short and so on. And then you have analyst ratings, which can be quite useful if you're a beginner trader, gives you kind of a guidance in terms of where analysts are viewing this stock here. For example, they're viewing at 13.5 by in a year's time as a price target. That's 124% gain. Currently trading at $6 and a drop in significantly here. And then, some stuff, some data here and description on the company and what it does, so you get kind of a broader understanding. If you are into financials, there are detailed financial analysis here. And I'll just go into financials. Let me just click here and I'll show you how you guys can use TradingView in a more advanced level. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to analyze the financials. I'm going to just show you guys what financial data you have, and then you guys can go and do the research and look into that. There are statistics, which are ratios based on valuations, very, very important, profitability of the company, liquidity of the company, solvency of the company, and per share metrics like earnings per share, EBITDA per share, which are quite important. But valuation is also very important long term. You also have dividend data. This example here doesn't pay a dividend, this stock, so you won't be able to see any dividend. But there's dividend data, earnings, how they've performed previously, and how they are forecasted to perform in the next couple earnings. You have revenue, so you can look at their revenue performance. IMSR isn't a company that has any earnings yet. It's a growth stock, and there won't be any earnings here, but there are plenty of other companies that do have earnings and revenue. And then you have statements, so financial statements. If you are a finance bro, you understand financial statements. There are income, balance, and cash flow. If you aren't, then I do recommend that you go and read on these topics. I teach them in my advanced courses to be able to give you guys an in-depth understanding of how to analyze these statements. I don't focus on them a lot, but it's good to see where the business is. As you can see here, this company is pre-revenue. There is no revenue coming in, just expenses going out, and they're probably looking to build their first plant or site to generate revenue. And then you have, details on who's the CEO, the websites, and other overviews here on the overview section. But this is the financials. You guys can have a play around with the financials, and then this is the technicals. Okay. Now, I think everything else you guys can understand and you can play around with. This was a nice overview here. I think the final thing to do is adding a watch list. You can add a watch list here by clicking this arrow down, add a watch list, and then add symbols to that watch list and build your first watch list on assets that you want to trade and follow. Okay, that's it. Hopefully this was a quick overview. I know it's been about 15-20 minutes, but it's from opening up the account to explaining how to use TradingView effectively at different levels and different data that you're going to get with TradingView. Final thing that I want to add here is if you want to do paper trading, you can do paper trading here, but you can just press this button, buy or sell, and then open up a paper trading account, and you'll be able to do paper trading and practice. Especially if you're a beginner, you might want to do that.